There are miracles that inspire people, miracles that strengthen faith, miracles that echo through generations. But then, there are miracles that stop an entire village in its tracks. This is the story of a 12-year-old girl. A girl whose life was slipping away, whose body had turned cold, whose house had already begun mourning, and yet, in a single moment, with a single touch, with just 2 divine words, Jesus brought her back. Today, you will witness one of the most powerful miracles ever recorded. The moment when Jesus stepped into a house of death and walked out with life. A father on his knees. Our story begins in the bustling town of Capernaum. People gathered around Jesus as he taught, healed, and comforted them. Then, suddenly, the crowd parted. A man pushed through, trembling, sweating, desperate. This man was Jairus, a respected leader of the synagogue. People normally bowed before him, respected him, listened to him. But today, he wasn't a leader. He wasn't a scholar. He wasn't an authority figure. He was just a father. A terrified father. The moment Jairus reached Jesus, he collapsed at his feet. "Master, please, my little daughter is dying," he cried, voice cracking. "Come, lay your hand on her, so she may live." For a man of his position, kneeling in public was unthinkable. But when your child is slipping away, you don't care about pride. You don't care about status. You just want one thing: hope. Jesus looked at him, and without hesitation, began walking with him. That's who Jesus is. He responds to tears faster than titles. 2. A miracle interrupted. As Jesus and Jairus hurried through the narrow streets, a huge crowd pressed around them. But suddenly, Jesus stopped walking. He turned and asked, "Who touched me?" The disciples looked confused. "Master, everyone is touching you," they said. But Jesus knew. This touch was different. A woman stepped out, trembling, ashamed. She had suffered for 12 long years, spent all her money, visited countless physicians, and found no cure. Yet the moment she touched Jesus' robe, her bleeding stopped. Jesus looked at her and said, "Daughter, your faith has made you whole." A beautiful moment. But for Jairus, every passing second felt like a knife in his heart. He kept glancing at the sun, at the path home, at Jesus, wishing time would slow down for his daughter and speed up for the miracle. But time was about to run out. 3. The worst news imaginable. As Jesus finished speaking to the woman, a messenger approached Jairus. His face said everything. His eyes avoided Jairus. His voice was barely a whisper. "Your daughter is dead. There is no need to trouble the teacher anymore." Jairus froze. The world around him blurred. His hands shook violently. Tears rushed into his eyes. Everything inside him shattered. People whispered around him, "Why did Jesus stop? If only he had reached earlier. It's too late now." But Jesus turned to Jairus, gently, firmly, and said, "Do not be afraid, just believe." One sentence. That carried more power than the news of death. Jairus looked at Jesus, his hope flickering like a dying flame, but he nodded. Because if Jesus wasn't worried, why should he be? 4. The house of death. When Jesus reached Jairus' house, the sound of wailing echoed through the streets. Women were crying loudly. Flute players performed funeral rituals. Relatives mourned openly. Neighbors stood outside the house in sadness. Inside, the little girl lay motionless, her eyes closed, her skin pale. Her mother sat beside her, holding her tiny hand, unable to stop crying. Jesus entered the house and said something that shocked everyone. "Why all this weeping? The child is not dead. She is sleeping." The crowd erupted in laughter, not joyful laughter, mocking laughter. "Sleeping? We checked her pulse. She hasn't moved for hours. She is dead. What nonsense is this?" But Jesus didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He simply asked everyone to leave the house. Because doubt is noise. Fear is noise. And miracles don't happen in noise. He took only 5 people into the room: Peter, James, John, the girl's father, the girl's mother. Everyone else was removed, because faith is personal. 5. The moment heaven touched earth, the room was silent. Only the soft cries of the girl's mother echoed. Jesus walked toward the little girl. Her lifeless hand lay by her side, cold, still, unmoving. Jesus gently took her hand. The room held its breath. He looked at her, not as someone dead, but as someone waiting. Then he spoke 2 words, words filled with divine power: "Talitha cum," little girl, rise. He didn't shout. He didn't hold a ritual. He simply commanded, because when the author of life speaks, death has no choice but to step back. A hush fell over the room. For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, a small twitch. A breath. Her chest moved. Her fingers curled around Jesus' hand. Her eyes opened. She sat up. Her mother gasped and covered her mouth in disbelief. Jairus fell to his knees, tears pouring down his face. The disciples stood in stunned silence. And Jesus smiled softly. There was no dramatic music, no thunder, no earthquake, just a gentle miracle in a quiet room between a Savior and a child. "Give her something to eat," Jesus said, because love is not just about miracles, it's about care. 6. A village in shock. Soon the news spread outside. People rushed toward the house. Mothers carried their children. Neighbors left their work. Everyone wanted to see the girl. The same girl they had seen lying lifeless. The same girl they had been mourning for. The same girl they had laughed about seconds before. But now, she walked out alive. Not sick, not weak, alive, breathing, smiling, standing. The crowd fell silent. Every face changed. Every doubt vanished. The same lips that mocked were now speechless. The same eyes that cried in mourning cried again in joy. It was a miracle no one could deny. A miracle no one could forget. The miracle that silenced an entire village. 7. The real message. Behind the miracle. Why did Jesus perform this miracle? It wasn't to impress the crowd. It wasn't to prove a point. It wasn't to gain followers. It was to show that fear cannot stand where faith lives. No situation is ever too late for God. Death is not the final word. Jesus listens to desperate prayers. He is moved by the tears of parents. Jairus came with fear, but Jesus replaced it with faith. He came with sorrow. Jesus replaced it with joy. He came expecting healing. Jesus gave him resurrection, because Jesus doesn't just fix what's broken. He creates what's impossible. And that little girl's story teaches us something eternal. When everyone says it's over, Jesus says, "It's not over." Final reflection. This is more than a miracle story. It's a message for you. Maybe something in your life feels dead, a dream, a relationship, your peace, your hope. Maybe people around you have said, "It's too late. Give up. Don't bother anymore." But Jesus tells you what he told Jairus. Do not be afraid. Just believe. If he can bring a dead girl back to life, he can bring your life back to light. Sometimes miracles don't begin with power. They begin with tears, with surrender, with a simple prayer. So remember this. When everything seems silent, when the world says there is no hope, that is exactly when Jesus whispers, "Talitha cum," Little one, rise.